Evolving Skies is the biggest set in the Pokemon Sword and Shield era, arguably one of the biggest sets in modern Pokemon. With the Sword and Shield era falling in price, are the single card prices, the sealed product, and even the graded card prices holding in this downfall, or are they falling like the rest of them? Well, today we'll find out right now. Alright guys, so Evolving Skies is an amazing set, we can't deny that. Now I absolutely love the set, I think it's got some amazing artwork in it, got some just absolute value all over the place with really high valuable cards and seal boxes being extremely valuable. With today we take a look at TCG Player and PokeJace at all of what has been going on with Evolving Skies. So let's get into it. Alright, kicking things off, we have the Evolving Skies booster box, and it's currently sitting at $435. Now it is very expensive still, hasn't really moved much, and to be honest, most of the sealed product in the Sword and Shield era have been going up pretty much across the board, except for some reprints like Silver Tempest Lost Origin. But overall, everything seems to be going up, whereas single card prices have been going down. And Evolving Skies is doing the same. I mean, holding at 435 is pretty impressive. I mean, the next most expensive set is probably what? Brilliant Stars, maybe even Chill and Rain, which is what, 150. So they're not holding up anywhere near as much as Evolving Skies. Now over here in the UK, you could pick up Evolving Skies boxes. I mean, it does vary, to be honest, from I would say 350 to 400. I don't know why the range is so big, but it is, right? So I would say the average is probably around about 330 a box. So it is holding considerably well. We'll go back over the past 6 months, it has been just continuously going up. Even though I had a little bit of a dip, it was, $384 6 months ago. So it has gone up by about $50 in 6 months, which is still really impressive. And of course, it's sad to see, if you didn't buy in at this point, but $266 a year ago and now $435. Now I thought this would go over $500 by the end of this year, but it hasn't. Things have slowed right down with Evolving Skies. I mean, look here. I mean, it had several months where it didn't even move. So I wouldn't even say this has climbed that much in the past 6 months, but it did shoot up at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, and it stayed quite steady for the rest of this year as compared to some of the other sets. But right, let's get into the single card prices and what's been going on. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a sad one for me. Umbreon Alt Art VMAX, the Moonbreon. We have finally pulled it on stream and first time ever on this channel, which was absolutely incredible. Now we're looking at a raw price of 543 on TCG Player, 477 on eBay. Now I want to point out the graded price of this card, right? So we're looking at the green is a PSA 10, right? So about 6 months ago it was over $1,000, and now as you can see it has dropped continuously and we're sitting at $790. So I have a PSA 10 one. It has dropped to over $200 in the past 6 months. Pretty rough, but the thing is, it's got a silly high population of PSA 10s, which is very high. PSA 9 doesn't even scratch the surface on the raw price of the card. It was a risk, it is a gamble. Do you get it graded? Do you keep it raw? I mean, I think it's probably worth it. It's quite interesting that PSA 8 is not that much more different to a PSA 9, mainly because there isn't that many PSA 8s. So that is one big factor there as well. Then we move on to the Rayquaza Alt Art VMAX now, and again, following the same trend as the Umbreon, we're looking at 256 on TCG Player, 211 on eBay. Now, let's look at PSA 10, $368. Again, it has dropped. Over 6 months ago, it was over 400 towards 450, and it has been dropping. Nowhere near as fast as the Umbreon, by the way, but still, high population cap has a massive impact on this card. PSA 8, I mean, holds more value than a PSA 9. Who would have thought? So, I mean, the raw card price of this has also been dropping, as well as the Moonbreon. All of the cards have been dropping, but it's the graded price that really does surprise me at the moment with a lot of these big cards. Moving on to the Leafeon Alt Art VMAX. Now we're looking at 117 on eBay, 170 on TCG Player. Big swings, big swings. PSA 10 though, 211. Not actually that much more than just the raw price. Again, high population cap has a massive impact on the value of this card. Although the actual graded price has been okay, because 6 months ago it was 233. It did actually go up to 270, and now it being on 211, it hasn't actually dropped a huge amount over the past year compared to the other two cards we just looked at. And the ungraded price, the raw price, which is the blue, has been somewhat stable, in all honesty, around that 130 to 140 mark. It actually dropped to as low as 108, but has bounced back up ever so slightly. So this card has dropped a little bit, but nowhere near as much as the others. Alright, on to the Glaceon Art VMAX. We're looking at 197 in a PSA 10, okay, and then raw 125 on eBay, 13 on TCG Player. Again, another high population cap card. The graded price has been dropping a fair amount from around 230, 240. Did tick up to around 250, And like we say, now it's dropped below 200, so it has dropped a little bit more than some of the others. But the raw price, this is what surprised me, the raw price of the Glaceon has pretty much stayed exactly the same. We're looking around, there's the blue line here, look around 117, 116, went up to 125, went up to 130, 135, and it's been bounced around 120. And then recently, raw 134, 130, it has done very well to hold its value. Now, with the Leafeon, Glaceon, and the Sylveon, which we'll get to in a minute, they were fighting over each other for the longest time. So this is actually holding a decent amount of value. Right, Sylveon, ORV Max, my absolute favourite card of the set. Now, I got one to send off to get graded, so we'll have to wait and see what it comes back as. But we're looking at, again, 113 in eBay, 120 on TCG Player, 190 graded. So it has dropped a fair amount. Again, very high population cap of this card, which does have a massive impact. We go through here, 220, 230, 240. It got up to around 250 for a PSA 10 back in August, and then it has dropped below 200 in September, and it's kind of trickling up and down, but now it's dropped again back below 200. So it has dropped around about $50 in value over the past 6 months in the PSA 10. You know, hopefully mine does come back at 10 because it is a really nice card. On to the Dragonite OR, one of my favorites, one of the fan favorites. We're looking at 91 on TCG Player, 77 on eBay, and the graded price. Yeah, another high pop. So many. Everyone's grading their Evolving Skies cards, hoping they're going to yield and hold a lot of value. And they do, and they did, but they are dropping because of it. The 163 now, we take a look, we're looking around 200. And it did trickle down a little bit, but it did go up. Again, at August, everything's going to be going up around 230, 240. And now it's just absolutely dipped. And we're looking at around 160, 163. It has dropped a considerable amount, around about $60, $70 from its high. So now is a matter of time to see what happens moving forward with the OR Dragonite. Right, on to the other Moonbryon, the normal OR, not the VMAX. We're looking at 74 on eBay, 87 on TCG Player. Now, in a 10, actually is doing very well in a 10. $186. It's actually got more value than some of the other bigger cards in the set. Still high pop cap. Maybe people just not grading this card anywhere near as much as some of the others. But let's look at the graded price of this. Now, it was 200, and it's been pretty steady. It did actually go up to around 220, 230, and then it's slowly trickling back down. But sitting at 186 for PSA 10, it's actually pretty good going. And if we take a look at the raw price, we can see with this card, it was around $80, and it has been pretty steady, and it's just dropped ever so slightly over the past few weeks or so. Now, this card has been doing really well compared to some of the others, which have been dropping quite a bit. Some of the other arts in Evolving Skies is holding strong. Right, now we've got the art Rayquaza now. $70 on eBay, 72 on TCG Player, pretty much identical. Again, 162 for PSA 10 is pretty good, value, to be honest. More than double the value of the card. Again, high pop cap though, but still doing really well. Graded card price, looking at 180, 190, and it's just dipped. Just slowly sliding down in price over time. Nothing crazy, no big drops, just gradually over time, it's losing value more and more. And I think we're going to be seeing that in the future with all of these cards, as things start to cool off with Evolving Skies. And now let's take a look at the raw price of this card, and it's been doing pretty well, right? 70, 80, and it's been pretty steady. Only dropped a little bit recently, but still holding pretty strong over the past year, really. Well, 6 months. It's been doing really, really well. Then on to the Espeon OR. We got 54 on eBay, 58 on TCG Player, PSA 10 sitting at 131. Very, very good. Even though it's got a high pop cap, again, another one that's more than double its value. And if you look at the chart, it's actually been doing okay. I mean, it was 140, 150, did trickle up to 170, above 170, it went up to 190 in August. August was the sweet spot, apparently. And then it dropped. Maybe some people offloaded some of theirs, and then it went up over time, and then it dropped again down to that 120 and trickling back up. So this must be when people have been selling a lot of their cards. But yeah, overall, this is still holding good value compared to some of the others. And if we look at the raw price, I bet it's holding decent value. Yeah, there we go. It has dropped slightly, but it's still around that $60 mark, $55, $60 mark over the past 6 months. So it is doing pretty well compared to, like I say, the bigger arts are really struggling right now. And then finally, we have the Glaceon VO art, $46 raw. And then we've got 52 on TCG Player, PSA 10, 97. So nowhere near as valuable as some of the others at all, really, compared to the population cap. And again, it was around 130, 140 for the longest time. It went up to 150, that sweet spot in August, and then a big drop happened, and then another big drop happened. So maybe people just offloading a lot of their alt arts from Evolving Skies there in graded. And the raw price of the Glaceon has been slowly declining around $60, and it's been slowly dropping over time to sit around below 50. And compared to some of the others, this hasn't been doing anywhere near as good as of course we've seen with the others, but nonetheless, it is still a great card. There you have it, guys. That's what's been going on with Evolving Skies. Let me know down in the comments what are your thoughts on Evolving Skies. Do you think it's falling? Do you think things are getting better? Things are getting worse? I think a lot of the big top cards of the set are dropping in value, as with all the other big alt arts in the Sword and Shield era. Booster boxes are holding strong. I expect them to hold strong. You know, I do feel like they're probably still the best set of the Sword and Shield era, especially when it comes to sealed product values. And on top of that, I mean, the graded cards, again, slammed. I mean, my Umbreon's lost over $200 in the past 6 months. I do expect them to continue to drop as we get more and more high population caps. Now, there is still a lot of Evolving Skies available out there to open for retail or even below retail, with things like the Charizard UPC having a massive impact on just how much Evolving Skies product is still out there. Yes, there may not be in booster boxes and we might not see any more ETBs, but they're still available in some other products like the Charizard UPC. That means packs are still getting cracked open, and Moonbryons and big alt arts are still to be found. But if you made it this far into the video, guys, and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button, make sure you subscribe for more Pokemon content. And like I say, let me know down in the comments what are your thoughts on Evolving Skies. Are you picking any more up? Are you offloading some? I've recently offloaded some because I needed the funds. Hey, got a good return on them, so I'm pretty happy with that one. Well, if you know what else is going on in the Pokemon market right now, make sure to click on this video right here. And if you watch more Pokemon content, guys, you know what to do. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. On the road to 10k. Let's get it there, guys. Alright, that's it from me in this video, guys. As always, you guys are legends. I'll see you in the next one.